guys, welcome back to another raid video. In today's video, I want to talk about something interesting here. I want to talk about the hardest hitting, raw damage dealing AOE skills in this game. Alright, I think I did a video like this before back in 2021, so this video is gonna be 2022 version because we have so many good champions adding to the game. Alright, so this list is gonna be much different compared to the one I did previously. So alright, in this video, like I said, it's gonna be 15 champions with the hardest hitting AOE skill, raw damage, right? It's not gonna be any like Seer or Royal Guard stuff like that. There's not gonna be any enemy max HP champions, right? It's all gonna be raw damage dealing. And after I talk about all the champions, I will show you guys a graph I made, right? To kind of illustrate the damage that they put out. Alright, if you guys are not interested in watching me talk about these champions, you guys can just jump into the final part of the video, which I will show you guys the conclusion and a very good image to illustrate their damage. So alright, before getting into the list, a quick disclaimer is that all the champions I talked about, of course they are ranked, but like for example, even if I put some champion at number 2 or number 1 spot, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're super good in places like arena, because a lot of skills are gonna have some kind of condition to hit really hard. Alright, so even if I put some champion really high, it doesn't mean that they're super good as a arena nuker. Alright, so let's just get right into the list. Number 15, I want to give it to Cubitus, right? A champion that is recently buffed. He actually has a very decent multiplier on all his skills. And why this champion is so special is because he's A1. This A1's damage is already very close to like a Foley's A3 single hit. Alright, think about this. Every time you hit this champion, he's gonna counterattack with a damage equivalent to Foley's A3 single hit. That's kind of crazy. Also, his A2 has a very decent multiplier. Alright, so after the book, this is gonna be a 5.5 multiplier, already very solid. Alright, so number 15, I think he deserves it with the crazy passive combine stuff like that. Overall, a very solid champion. And by the way, the Cubitus Venus defense in arena right now is actually super difficult to deal with. Alright, especially pairing with a Necrit champion like that. Alright, so very solid champion overall, but Cubitus, you can actually made an argument about Cubitus being number 15 on the list. Alright, there are a lot of other champions kind of deal similar damage compared to Cubitus. I put him here because I think he is the most relevant champion nowadays in the meta. Alright, so let's go to number 14. Might be a little bit surprised. The number 14 is gonna be Kendrick Fong. Alright, super hard hitting champion, only at number 14. So you guys can imagine that the 13 champions ahead of him are gonna be some crazy champions. Alright, so his A2, this A2 actually doesn't have a super good multiplier. This is after book a 4.4 damage multiplier, but he has a passive which has 40% damage increase. That's where his damage comes from. Alright, so yeah, he's gonna be number 14. Overall, like the reason that he is super solid in arena is because he is really hard to kill. Force affinity, and with this passive here, increased damage deal and decreased damage taken, stuff like that. That's why he is a nasty champion in arena. Alright, so for the number 13 on my list is gonna be a champion that was recently buffed. Alright, not recently, probably a couple months ago. That is a champion that everybody can get, Cleopatrix. Alright, Cleopatrix. That is her A2 here. The reason that I think this skill is very underrated is because people only have to build her with 70% crit rate, right? You can convert these extra stats into crit damage when you're gearing her, right? Also, she's gonna have 30% increased crit damage on her. So if you just transfer this 30% into crit damage, technically she's gonna have 60% more crit damage compared to every other damage dealer in the game, right? That's why she is super solid, I think, and the multiplier is not that high. This is a after book 5.4 damage multiplier, but combining with 60% increased crit damage, I think she deserves a spot on my list as the 13th. Alright, so the number 12 is going to be a Void Legendary, Ethos. Alright, even though I think I said many bad things about him, I remember I thought he was not good enough as a Void Affinity nuker, consider he is just a pure damage dealing champion. There's nothing else he can do. But like if you build him purely for his A3, I think he's still very good. Because you don't need any crit. So the way I'm building my Ethos, I build him around 60%, 70% crit. And this is always gonna be critical, right? And you can just convert the stats you saved into crit damage. That's how his damage, that's where his damage come from. And very good base attack. And the multiplier after book, this one is 5.5. So honestly, not that high. Like the biggest issue with this champion is the multiplier. Alright, otherwise he is just a pure amazing damage dealer. So anyways, if you are able to stack very high crit damage on this champion, he is still usable, right? So alright, that's it. Let's get into number 11 on my list. That is going to be a Sacred Order champion. Guess which one? Alright, that's it. That is our dude Constantine here. Think about this. This champion is higher than Ethos. Alright, this A2 here, after book, this is a 6 damage multiplier, already very solid, 2 hit, and it can ignore defense for each debuff. In 99% of situations, you are not going to have all three debuffs at the same time, right? But I think it's very likely if you just do a little bit setup, team setup, you are able to get 2 of these 3 debuffs in the same time. It's not that hard to get 2 debuffs, right? So even if this is 20% ignore defense, it's already very solid. Yeah, all around very solid champion, hard hitting, and he is my number 11 pick. Alright, so for the number 10, it's actually another Sacred Order champion. Alright, let's take a look at the list here. Who else is gonna be here? Already 2 Sacred Orders on my list already, right? Constantine Cubitus. The next one is gonna be Abyss. Alright, the reason that we are not seeing him being used that much is simply because of her affinity. That's how I feel, because force affinity in an offense situation is honestly not that good. But she does have a very hard hitting A3 ability, right? Look at this. The best part is the second part here, right? Deals extra 30% crit damage if the target attack is highest, and it will ignore 30% of defense if the defense is highest. This 30% ignore defense is actually huge, especially against those tanky team like Duchess, Siphi, Necra, all these champions, right? Their defense is definitely highest. So against these teams, she will ignore 30% of defense, which is huge. And this skill doesn't have a great multiplier. It's actually only 5 damage multiplier, but consider the 30% ignore defense, this just kind of smacks, alright? Honestly. Alright, now let me get into my top 10. This is already my 10th pick, right? So let's get into the number 9 on my list. That is actually a brand new champion we just had a 10x. That is Shimnath. Right? The reason I decided to make this video is because Plarium added so many good champions into the game. Alright, I feel like these champions are just worth mentioning. Alright, Shimnath just have a very good multiplier. Alright, this skill here, after book, it's 6 damage multiplier, and it can ignore defense, 20% of defense against target that has no buffs. I mean, this is just a very simple condition, right? Even though the second hit, it's only the second hit, it's gonna ignore the defense. Like most likely you're gonna pair your damage dealer with a buff strip, right? So it's very likely that the target is not gonna have any buffs. Very likely. Also, if you take a look at his passive here, right? It can increase the champion's crit damage, right, on each debuff on the enemy. If you just use her with a Madame series, right? It's very like these conditions are very easy to do. So I think she's overall very hard hitting. I did not pull any short stirring 10x Shimnath because I already have so many good damage dealers on my account. But this champion is just amazing. Alright, so let's get into number 8 on my list. That is a Dark Elf legendary, Ray. Alright, she is kind of forgotten by the Ray community. I feel like I don't really see many people using her at all, right? But she deals a lot of damage, especially the A2 here, right? Deals 50% more damage against targets under debuffs. Again, this is a very easy condition. If you just use a Madame series or Mantua or whatever, Kaimar, right? Like this 50% increase is just gonna boost her damage by a mile. So this is only a 5.6 multiplier before the 50%, but after the 50%, this is gonna be very close to Tronda's A3 actually. Tronda's A3 2-hit, it's actually very close. Probably 10% less damage compared to Tronda's A3. Alright, it's just an amazing champion. All 3 skills are AOE, and if you have the champion and you don't have a better choice, if you don't have a better one on my list from this video, just use Ray. Alright, just use Ray. Alright, so the next one, the 7th, guess who it is? That's gonna be the champion I just talked about, Tronda. That's right, think about this. Think about this. There are 6 champions in this game that can hit harder than Tronda by raw damage. Think about this. Tronda is only number 7. That's why this list is actually quite exciting, right? So yeah, everybody knows about her. The best arena damage dealer for a while. I feel like nowadays she's kind of dethroned by other great champions like Hefrock or Leores, who are also gonna be on this list, right? But she is still on the top. This is a 7.8 multiplier, damage multiplier, 2 hit after book, and I think she's absolutely worth the book. Especially like a lot of people are saying this type of damage dealing skill are not worth book, right? It doesn't reduce the cooldown, it doesn't have any percentage effect, but I feel like if the book value is 10% damage each, I think it's kind of worth the book. Alright, so that's Tronda. The old queen of arena still is on the top, but only number 7 on my list. Alright, for number 6, it's gonna be a controversial pick, alright, because the champion I'm gonna pick as my number 6 could potentially be higher, but the champion is just kind of unstable, alright. That is our dude Baron here. Think about this. Everybody's Vault Guardian if you have the champion, right? The king of Vault Guardian. And I remember when I first started playing this game, I'm seeing advertisement that Ray puts out. Like they put Baron on their front page, something like that. And I've seen some account trading website which are saying that, oh, this account has Baron, the best champion in the game, and it's $3,000 for this account. That was back in 2019, all right. But Baron, he is probably, like I said, everybody's Vault Guardian if you have the champion. But undeniably, this skill just hits. It's max. Look at this description here. Deals pure damage. The meaning of pure damage is it ignores 100% of the defense. That's why when you're building this champion, you don't need to put him in a Savage set or Cruel set. If you want looking for pure damage, just go with triple crit damage set. It's insane damage, alright? 100% ignore defense. It doesn't have a great multiplier, only 4.3. It's probably the lowest damage multiplier on my entire list, but it ignores 100% of defense, right? And depending on the enemy defense, this champion could potentially be number 1 on my list, right? But like I said, the reason I'm putting him at number 6 is because he is kind of unstable, right? And the secret skill, it could take a couple turns to unlock, but if you unlock this skill, it's gonna one-shot the enemy wave or enemy team without a question if you build him properly. Alright, so let's get into the number 5. it's gonna be my favorite champion in the entire game. That is Leoris the Proud. Again, this Leoris Proud, the reason that he's higher than Tronda is because I put a condition on him. He has an amazing passive, which is increased damage as his HP decrease. So if he is at 1% HP, he is gonna have 99% damage increase. And actually, this champion at 1% HP, it's not that hard to achieve because he is a unkillable himself on the passive, especially going against a champion, against a Kendrick Fong team. This 1% HP is achievable. So he's gonna hit super hard. He doesn't have a great multiplier. The A2 after book is only 5.2 multiplier, but consider the 99% damage increase, he is hitting super hard, much harder than Tronda actually when he is at 1% HP. Alright, and I remember I actually told Plarium I want them to make a video intro for me on my YouTube channel, and they asked me to pick a favorite champion, and I told them like Leoris, but they haven't sent me it yet. Consider the situation going on in the world right now, but I'm actually quite looking forward for the intro they made for me, hopefully. Alright, hopefully I will get it one day. Alright, the number 4 is gonna be the most hyped new champion in the game right now, Hefrock. Think about this, Hefrock is only number 4. There are 3 champions, obviously with a condition that hits harder than Hefrock. Right, Hefrock is already well known. I made 2 videos about this champion on my channel. Hefrock, this is just god tier, this skill, right? A 2-hit, 15% ignore defense. Like after book, this multiplier is already 8.6 multiplier, right? Like Tronda's multiplier is 7.8 and this is 8.6 with 15% ignore defense. That's absolutely insane, right? He is hitting much harder than Tronda. Like this one here, if you got a baseline Hefrock, he's hitting harder than a +4 Tronda already. Think about that, right? And he also has a passive which can activate this skill. The only downside of this champion I feel like is his defensive stats. He is really easy to be killed. Alright, but otherwise, like if you got this champion, you're done. You don't have to look for any other damage dealer. Alright, this is a champion that deals pure damage. Sorry, not pure, that's dealing raw damage on my list without a condition. Alright, this is the hardest hitting one. The 3 champions that are gonna be ahead of him are going to have a condition on the damage dealing skill. Alright, so yeah, that's Hefrock, our boy Hefrock here. Let's get into top 3. Alright, the top 3, like I said, they all have a condition for them to hit hard. The number 3 is gonna be Thea the Tomb Angel. Alright, a Doom Tower champion with a terrible review, but undeniably, this skill kinda smacks. Think about this, 50% damage increase for each hex on the enemy team. And I'm making this video, I'm assuming the enemy team only has 4 champions, alright? I'm assuming it's an arena situation. If it's a Doom Tower situation, she is probably the number 1 because there are 5 enemy champions, right? So, yeah, in arena situation, there are 4 champions, 4 times 50 is 200%. So this skill is gonna hit 3 times as harder, right? If the enemy has 4 hex debuff. Right, and this is a 3.5 damage multiplier. Not that high, probably another lowest damage multiplier on my list, but you can just multiply it by 3. It's just insane damage. And actually the base attack is okay. The disadvantage of Thea is force affinity. That's why we're not seeing her being used that much in arena, I feel like. And we're not seeing a good AOE hex champion. I feel like Methala is good, right? And I feel like if they at some point in the future added a champion that can put AOE hex that cannot be resisted, I think this she's gonna shine. Alright, we already have a champion in the game that can put decreased defense that cannot be resisted, right? Ghostborn. I feel like in the future they might add a champion that puts out hex that cannot be resisted. Alright, so there is gonna be number 3. The number 2 is actually going to be an epic champion? Well, this is not really a secret anymore. That is Caitis. Alright? Think about this. Caitis at 1% HP. This is gonna smack. Alright? So, I've done the math. This is a 2-hit. If he is at 1% HP, this skill is going to have a 13.5 damage multiplier. Absolutely insane. Alright? Well, this hits actually a little bit harder than Thea if the enemy team has 4 hacks. Probably like 2-3% more damage compared more damage than Thea. So he is slightly above. That's why he's on the number 2 list. And people might wonder like, how can you get him to 1% HP, right? I feel like there is actually a way of doing that. Alright, I think, oh yeah, it's a dwarf here. Go for it. Actually, this is a champion chase tournament reward, right? Go for it for the level 61 to 80, right? This passive here, if an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, block the incoming damage and place a block damage buff. So I do think this skill is gonna help Caitis get into 1% HP. If it doesn't work, you can try the Swift Parry set on Caitis, kind of build a troll defense for Arena, right? I feel like even if you don't put a Savage set on him, he already hits super hard. And if you put him on your defense team, the enemy take him down to 1%, and he gets a turn, proc this secret skill, and just one-shot the enemy team. So that's just a kind of a troll defense I have in my mind, right? So yeah, Caitis is number 2 on my list at 1% HP. A little bit harder to achieve. If he is like 30% HP, I think he is not gonna be on the top 5. Alright, so alright, number 1, who is gonna be the hardest hitting raw damage champion in the game? Alright, that is a champion that I just made a video of last week. Ruo the Huntmaster. Alright, that is it. Our boy Ruo. Alright, absolutely crazy damage from his A2. Attack all enemy, place an extra hit on enemies under Hex debuff, will ignore 25% of defense if there are 4 or more enemies under Hex. So, similar to Thea, if you are able to get 4 champions on the enemy team with a Hex, this is absolutely amazing. And I think this skill just hits crazy hard. I made a video last week, like I said, I used this champion to clear Fire Knight 25 wave. Think about this. Usually people do this using a Seer, right? Any max HP champion. And I think this champion is the only champion in the game that can take down the waves using raw damage. All you have to do is use Hex. Also, like, he has Hex on his skill kit. This is an AOE Hex, but it's a little bit more difficult because it requires accuracy, right? That's why if you can pair this champion with a champion like a Mithrala, where so you don't have to set up Hex by himself, right? It's just hits crazy hard. If it's 2-hit after book, this is a 7.8 damage multiplier already, and it ignores 25% of defense. So yeah, that's it. That's the list. Is any champions on this list surprise you guys? Let me know. Alright, but if you guys watched my rule video, I think you guys should have known that this dude is gonna be number 1. Ridiculous champion, the only champion in the game that can take down the Dungeon 25 wave by raw damage. And like I said, I prepared a image to video for you guys. This just kind of illustrate the damage they're doing. Alright, yeah, number 15 Cubitus, you might make an argument that he can be replaced by other champions like Foley or Yannicka, of course, but I just feel like Cubitus deserves a spot, consider he is so in the meta right now. And Ethos, Cleopatrax, and Kendrick Fong, they actually kind of similar, just Ethos is slightly harder hitting compared to these two, and Constantine, great multiplier. The reason that he's here is because he can do, like, I feel like he can do at least 20% ignore defense on his skill kit if just if you just set up the team for him. Alright, then it's Abyss and Shimnath. Shimnath is a champion I don't have, and I really like to pull her, but I don't want to waste my shot on 10x event. Alright, then it's Ray and Tronda, and Ray and Tronda Tronda is one of the few champions on the list that doesn't have a condition. Well, it still kind of has a condition if you, because you cannot build her with accuracy, right? Ray is actually very close to Tronda, probably 10% damage difference. Right, then it's Baron. Like I said, it's a little bit harder to put Baron because I'm just gonna assume the enemy team is gonna have 4,000 defense, right? And if we're talking about the enemy where they have 8,000 defense, right? Of course, Baron is gonna be number 1 here, so it's a little bit hard to put Baron. So I decided to put him at number 6. That's Leoris. Leoris is gonna be at 1% HP. Then we have Hefrock, the hardest hitting raw damage dealing champion that does not have a condition. Alright, and this dude is just better than a +4 Tronda. Think about this. Then we have Thea and Caitis, kind of close. They both have a condition. Caitis condition is much harder to achieve because he requires 1% HP. Right? Usually, if you use Caitis team, you pair with a Cardinal, it's 30% HP. If Caitis is 30% HP, I think he's gonna be a little bit above Tronda here. Not gonna be this high, and he's gonna deal less damage than a 1% HP Leoris. And for Thea, it's not that hard to achieve the condition, which is 4 hex on the enemy team if you just bring a Mithrala like that, right? And Rule is just leading by a mile. Think about this. Rule is just so hard hitting, right? Again, the condition is 4 hex debuffs. I think it's doable. Right now we have so many good hex champion. Just bring a Mithrala and use Mithrala with Rule, and she's just gonna destroy the enemy wave. I'm kind of curious to see if anyone has a +4 Rule. I kind of want to do a showcase, right? The hardest hitting raw damage ability champion in the game. I only have a +2 on my account. I would love to get more copies of Rule the Houndmaster. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this video. What do you guys think? If there's any champion I forgot on the list, let me know. I don't think I forgot anybody, right? I don't think there are any epics in the game that hits this hard. Alright, the reason I did not include Magnar is because all these champions are gonna benefit from increased attack, but Magnar cannot. That's why I feel like HP damage dealer is not in the discussion. Alright, so if I missed any champion, let me know. And if there are any champion that surprised you guys, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you guys in a video soon. Bye.